Okay. Okay, roll call. Brenneman.
Here.
Kill.
Here.
Monahan.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
And Jones.
Here.
All right.
Next, we're going to, is there any additions to the agenda? If there's not, per Mitch's request, we need to make a motion to take change order number 1 for Super Construction to extend the contract deadline. We need to take that off the agenda then.
I'm going to remove that item.
Second. And approve. Take it off and approve the agenda.
And I'm going to approve the agenda with that removed.
Still second. Okay. Is there any discussion?
What was the reason for taking it out?
We're still working on some of the details with it. We had a couple errors in their response, so we
Okay.
didn't get the change order
Okay.
fixed up.
Gotcha.
All right, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved minutes, previous meeting, 2/19.
Nelson.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There's no bills, isn't it, Karen? Okay. Moving into the public comment section. Is there anybody, yes, sir, you here for public comment?
Yeah, I am. I want to introduce my intern, Josie Lundy. Josie's a senior at West Central School District. She's interning for the Development Foundation this semester. I asked her to come and say a few words and introduce herself really quick, and then to stay and observe our council work. So,
Like Jesse said, I'm a senior at West Central, and I chose this internship. I had two different options, but I chose this one. One because it's more convenient because I chose to do track this year, and I thought it would be cool to learn kind of how a small town works and what are the benefits of starting a business in a small town, because after I graduate from college, I do have hopes to one day start my own business.
good luck.
You bet.
Welcome aboard.
You bet.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Moving right along, ordinances, we're alerted to the 705. There's a couple things on the agenda tonight that we're not gonna pretend like we're buying a payloader. And this is one of them. Second reading ordinance 662 off-street parking amendment. It passed first reading with a minor change at the last meeting. I think the only purpose it was changed was about the sidewalk on either side of the driveway.
Yep, we just added the verbiage on either side of the driveway. Otherwise, everything else is the same since first reading.
Motion to approve resolution, let's see, are we talking about resolution?
Second reading 662.
Say 662, that's what I thought. Second reading, ordinance 662.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Arden,
Yes.
Mark,
Yep.
Travis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and I am a yes. And next one's gonna be a paper. It's 705? I think it's 705. 705, public hearing, resolution 2019-2, resolution of necessity for North Vanmark Road Improvement Project. Just to recap, Jessica and I turned in a petition with enough footage.
Yeah, so basically now, since we decided to move forward with the project, this resolution basically states that the city is going to do pavement improvements to North Vandermark. It states, what we're gonna do in the project. It's gonna be a street project. It has the total estimated amount that we're gonna pay for the project. It also says in there that we plan to use special assessments, $100 a foot, for the abutting property owners. And with the passage of this, then we go forward, do the project. Once the project nears completion, we will have to pass another resolution, and have a public hearing with those abutting property owners to basically state, this is the dollar, what you're gonna be charged, this is the dollar amount, and give them their payment options. But this is the first step in the process, basically saying, we are going to do the project and we're gonna use special assessments to pay for a portion of it.
Your neck of the woods, Mr. Keel, what say you?
I didn't submit the petition, but, so we move to approve resolution.
Word of talk, down the street, on the street, everything cool?
We got a motion, Scott.
Second.
Was there a motion in there? By motion?
I move to approve resolution
Oh, okay.
2019-2.
All right.
Now we can discuss. Word on the street, it's been, as I went around gathering petitions and whatnot, it came up if I mentioned it, but, otherwise it's been a long time coming for some folks.
That's for sure.
Does anybody have any more questions or comments?
Has anybody talked to Great Lake? Did Justin talk to them when he was getting?
He talked to a representative from there, I think.
I say, what he indicated to me is when he was doing the petition is that, he called Great Life, he couldn't get a hold of Wash, the president of it. He talked to somebody there, it sounded like they were going to relay the information to him, he never ever did get a call back, was the last I heard on it, so.
I know we met with Great Life and, told them that there'd be an assessment on there, so. We weren't meeting with Tom, but.
You met with Great Life, or did you meet with,
Mike.
the,
We
Mike
met with
at
Mike
the
and
golf course?
there was a Great Life person there
Working- Okay,
too.
sorry,
I think they're excited for the water control,
Yes.
yeah,
so
yeah, this would actually
It's
improve their
gonna-
drainage.
they're gonna have some benefit. from the
Yeah.
drainage.
I'm just curious if they.
Is there any other option than doing this? I mean,
Can you take the podium, sir, and state your name, please?
Travis Fowler, 501 Parkey. I guess one question I would ask is the $100 per linear foot. Where did that number come from?
That's actually set in, I believe it's set in ordinance. And the reason it's set in ordinance, because that's actually cheaper than what the real cost is. And that's to entice people to circulate a petition and have their street done, because if the petition's circulated and the street's done, then that locks you in at $100 a foot. That's far better than if the city deems it a necessity and assesses the total cost of the project per foot. Because your portion, or anybody's portion will exceed $100 for curb gutter and asphalt. What's it going right now, an extra 170 foot?
Yeah, and by the time you put engineering and facility costs in there, yeah.
So it's actually a heck of a deal to entice people to circulate petitions and pave roads.
It's also, compared to other communities, like-kind communities, less than what they're paying. There's other communities that are paying more per linear foot than our 100.
Well, if we wait for 2 more years, then the city can put more money into it, so it doesn't fall back on the property owners as much? Is that a possibility? It's not?
You still would pay for it?
I mean, 2 years from now, that road is not gonna affect my livelihood or anybody else's that lives on it. It might affect a golfer standing on 13 or 4 tee box, but that's it. I don't see any benefit to rush it.
Yeah, there's gonna be, 26 lots developed this year, west of Vandemark.
Who let them help pay for it?
They
They're gonna use it.
They will, they're,
I mean, our taxes should pay for something.
The total cost of the project's about $1.9 million, and the city's putting $1.5 million of that, so we only get a little over $400,000 from assessments to pay for it, so the city is using a lot of tax dollars for the project.
So if it was 2 years from now, then it could be budgeted in for the full cost.
We have to change our city ordinance to do that.
Go ahead, Craig.
Because all the street projects have been done in town. All the front footage on the properties have all been assessed to the homeowners, a certain portion of that. Price started out back in the early 2009, late 90s at $49.50 a foot, and then went up to 80 something a foot, and then we bumped it up to $100 2 years ago. 2 years ago, something like that. But that's always been the way it's, policy has always been to our ordinance, has been to assess the property owners for their footage.
How does it compare to the Mickelson one? I mean, is it?
They got assessed at
Same.
$100 a foot.
$100 a
$100
foot.
yeah.
Yeah, city paid this upsizing and the difference in width, so.
Unfortunately, construction costs don't go down, so
In 2 years
it's
it
more
might,
expensive.
yeah, in 2 years it might go up 120, it's hard to say.
Well, if it improved my property value by that much, I wouldn't be standing here, I guess, but I don't think it's gonna improve my property by $7,000.
No, I think you'd be surprised.
I don't think so. I'd be surprised.
So it's gonna cost you $7,000?
Yeah, I don't know.
What year did we do Fifth Street, Craig?
Had to been early 2000s.
Early 2000s. I live on Fifth Street, and they did my street to the tune of about $10,000. And I guarantee you that my house is worth more now with that street that was put in the early 2000s than it would be if that was a gravel street in front of my house. There's no doubt in my mind that had that been a gravel street, not only would I would have had to live with that gravel street since early 2000s, but my house wouldn't be nearly as desirable with a gravel road in front of it.
Well, for the payment options, what do we have to work with? I mean, I don't have that kind of money laying around just to say, here you go.
No, I hear you.
You know, is there, I mean,
Like I said, we'll set the payment options before we complete the project, but what's been done in the past is either you can pay it in a lump sum to the city, or you can go on a 10-year payment plan with the county, so, at a, whatever the going interest rate is, so, that will be set at that time what the interest rate is. And if it's a desirable interest rate for you, you can do that, and then what you do is every year, when you get your tax, from the county, this will just be an added tax on it, basically, an added payment on that. Or if you can get a better interest rate and you wanna take out your own loan and pay it, and that's up to you too, so.
okay.
So there will be payment options, so for you.
When is this all gonna happen? Like, is this like immediate?
Mitch, when's it?
Yeah, this summer, it'll probably start right away in the spring, I'd say May. We'll be getting under construction.
So the work that y'all did last fall,
That was a sewer line in there,
and did you do all the base layers and everything, so all you gotta do is put the mat down, or you gotta tear it all up again?
There's a storm sewer that's gotta go in there too. We just did the sewer last year, so there's a storm sewer that's gotta get put in and constructed. And then all the roadways gotta get constructed and excavated and reconstructed too.
So, alright. More the same, I guess, alright.
All right, anything else?
I think he needs to understand why we didn't put the storm sewer in.
The
That
petition,
has to go with the road, and we didn't have a petition.
yeah, the petition hadn't been circulated when we did the previous work. So the sewer went in to facilitate the housing development. And there was discussions about a road, but at that point, it would have, there was no homeowners or property owners that were circulating petition. So had the city have done it, it would have been forced on the residents. The city did not force it on the residents. A property owner circulated a petition, got 55% of the front footage to do it, and that's how we got here. And that's why we're talking about doing the storm sewer and everything else. The petition facilitated everything that's moving forward now.
But wasn't the petition just to start the whole process of, talking about getting the road done?
The petition was to put the road in, curb gutter and asphalt.
He's not 100% wrong. The city could say, No, we're not gonna do that, thank you for the petition.
Good.
Right. But it does definitely bring it to the table. Yeah, without that petition, the city would have had to initiate that and force it on us essentially.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second to approve resolution. No, yeah, 2019-2. For the vote, Scott,
Yes.
Jessica, Mark,
Yes.
Arden,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Alright. I assume the assessment, what would you be looking for in assessment for 2020?
Yeah, so, if, you know, we do the project this year and we do the assessment. If you go on the payment plan with the county, you won't get a bill until the following year, because that's always a year behind payment, so.
Okay.
Would be your first payment, basically, yeah.
And is there also a discount for corner lots too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both received $2,500.
Can we get that
It shows it
raised
in
to
there,
50 or
Jesse.
something? Take
What
fifty off?
does it count for?
That's on each one, we have that in there.
Oh, it does, okay.
I mean, since I'm here,
Just like that.
lobbying for myself, and nobody else is lobbying. Get an extra 25 or something, conversation.
But before we move on though, I do wanna address one thing. And, you know, cause you mentioned 2 years in budgeting for, and just have the city pay the whole nutty. The problem with that is there's been a lot of people in this town that have paid for their portion of the street in front of their house. And my fear is that the minute that changed, there's gonna be a line of people down that hall and out that door saying, give me my money back,
Including you.
including me. Because the first thing I'm gonna say is, you did it for that guy,
Well,
you can
see,
do it for me.
since it happened to you, you should be working harder so it doesn't happen.
You know what?
That should be worth
I actually think
25.
I was the one that circulated the petition on Fifth Street. But it was, and I think back at that time, it was, I think you got 50-foot break on the second side. You didn't get 25 on each, you got 50 foot on the
Now
second.
we change it, you get 25 on each side, so even if you have only one, you still get that.
There's a lot of history before this night.
Are sidewalks going in? That's a whole other story, never mind.
That's a totally different.
Moving on.
Moving on, okay, here's a good one, 10 minutes. If we haven't decided in 10 minutes, we're moving on down the road. Resolution 2018-1, request for joint jurisdiction with Minnehaha County.
Move to approve resolution 2019-1.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Everybody's had ample time to know what this is, to ask any questions that needed asked. So when we vote, everybody's up to speed. All right, Travis,
Yes.
Jessica, Scott,
Yes.
Arden.
Yep.
Mark.
Yep.
And I'm a yes. So that was quick.
What are we gonna do the next 9 minutes?
Yeah.
We're gonna finish up and go home. We got a brand new deputy, Deputy Ryan.
So, council, my name is Phil Ryan. I've been with the sheriff's office for about a year, but I've been at Scott for about 11 years. I've been in Hartford on and off for most of that year, just on the night shift. So I am the new daytime deputy, while Deputy Albers is reassigned probably till the end of the school year. Just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an Air Force retiree. I retired in 2016 after 21 years in the Air Force. I was a heavy aircraft mechanic. I did not fly airplanes. I work for a living and I fix airplanes. I enjoyed my service though, and I just decided I wanted to get back into law enforcement when I retired. I've been a cop in Vermont, Washington State, and of course now in South Dakota. So I've covered every coast. Well, I've worked in the South. I guess that doesn't count. But I'm here to serve for you guys, and I really enjoy, working with this group right here. It's been fantastic and welcoming me to the city. So I do a roundup, for the last, 30 days roughly, we've had, 15 911 hangups, 2 warrant calls, we've had 38 traffic stops, 4 animal complaints, 5 medical calls, 3 DUI arrests, 3 fraud complaints, 4 check well-beings, and a check well-being could be anything. Mom calls from Florida and says, yeah, I haven't heard from my son, and we go and see if the son is okay, or it could be something much more serious. We've had 48 parking violations, including snowbird, 1 hold-up alarm, 2 suicidal subjects, and 6 crashes. Total calls for service is 189, that's about 6.3 calls per day. So it's getting busier. Areas for our opportunities for improvement, probably parking on the city streets when there's a snow alert. I don't enjoy ticketing people for that, and citizens certainly don't enjoy it, but if it's gonna continue to snow, then we're gonna continue to do it, I'm guessing. Been some emphasis on speeding and stop sign violations. I've heard a lot of controversy about the stop signs on Manamark, and I do agree with Deputy Alberts that stop signs don't slow people down, they just increase stop sign violations. But I'm doing my best to put a little dampener on that. Anybody have any questions for me?
I do. Since you've done the night shift, Deputy Ryan, you know we have a history with the city parks, plural.
Yes.
What's been your experience on that, and what advice might you have in regards to keeping things from being torn up, started on fire, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, aside from tearing it all out, locking the bathrooms has been effective, I think. It's a little bit cumbersome for us, because sometimes with call volume, we don't get here until late, but I think it's been effective. You can't light it on fire if you can't get inside it.
Yeah.
We've also placed a lot more emphasis on going into the parks, of course, and enforcing curfew. That's another big thing, is getting our kids in when curfew is in effect. Mischief's gonna happen,
Oh, yeah.
otherwise I wouldn't have a job.
There you go.
So I think we're heading in the right direction, honestly. Locking the bathrooms was huge. And if there's any other areas that are unlocked, it's probably not a bad idea. I mean, Hartford's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Sioux Falls is gonna be on our doorstep any day now,
Mhm.
so.
Thank you.
you know.
Are you finding in Mickelson, is that where you're seeing a lot of the stop sign stuff?
Oh, yes. I could
Fighter,
sit there with my
fighter,
lights on and they would still go through stop signs there.
yeah.
So you're not hiding?
You're not hiding. We were told that you were hiding.
I was hiding in plain view.
Yeah. That's what I assumed, because I seen you sitting right there on the corner.
Right, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I sat at the stop sign, parked on the sidewalk. I was trying to be as obvious as possible, and still, people will go, sometimes, I mean, it was slippery, some people will slide through there, in which case they're probably driving too fast to be there.
Right.
But, I mean, I don't hide, I don't cover my patrol car with weeds and try to be a tree. I have no obligation to leave my lights on at night, and like my headlights or parking lights on the law, pretty clear on that, but, yeah, I just sit on the streets, and it is not just Hartford, it's everywhere. I think it's South Dakota. I came here from Washington State where, you stop at stop signs. And here, I've been trained on the Hartford roll. Has everyone familiar with the Hartford roll? It's like California roll, but it's in Hartford.
Yeah.
That's something I was introduced to, I didn't know about that. And so when I write somebody a stop sign violation,
It's blatant.
oh boy,
Right,
yeah.
right. I had one of my constituents stop and said, yeah, what are we doing about these stop signs? I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, I just got a ticket. I said, did you stop? No.
Yeah.
I mean, he flat told me he went right through it. And I said, well, I didn't know what to say. I wonder if we need to make sure, is the water bill next month get the last newsletter?
Mhm.
I think we should put in there that we have advised our sheriff's deputies to, that we're not tolerating stop sign and speeding bike. I think we just need to tell them again that they know.
when I was out circulating my petitions, I mentioned to several people, you need to understand that we have told the deputies that we're gonna enforce up here on Mickelson hard. So, I said, if you run a stop sign, don't come and tell me I got a ticket for running a stop sign, cause we're telling them, I was telling them,
Right.
so.
Well, in a couple months, the snow will be gone, his car won't blend in so close.
Yeah.
Stick out a little more.
I'm being nice, the way I usually am, nice.
Does that need a second?
I think we'll probably
No,
put it, we got a new deputy, put what the name is, if there's any issue, to contact him, and please be conscious of the laws, maybe something like that.
something like that, but, I mean,
We'd love to see you on Vandemark too. I mean, we've seen you, so we love seeing you, I'll put it that way.
Right, and there's a problem at Vandemark and Ninth. I hear that's, there are 4 stop signs, but it's kind of like a yield area.
Yeah.
So I've been enforcing that also, and people are shocked to see me there. Many cars are stopping right in the middle of the intersection. I'm good, right? Right? So, I understand there's gonna be a learning curve for folks.
Yeah.
Certain deputies maybe don't enforce as much as I do. I love working traffic because I get to contact people. So, anything else?
nope, that's good.
All right, thank you, folks.
Welcome to Hartford.
Thank you.
Teresa, look at the email that you introduced, Deputy Ryan. Contact info, is that on here someplace? Right, never mind, there you go,
Yep.
right there. Okay, thank you.
All right, engineer report, Mitch, is there anything in your report you wanna touch on, or anything
No, not
you wanna touch on
specifically.
that's not in your report?
No, we just have the pay application for Silcock on Nicholson Road.
And this is for work on box culvert mainly?
Yes, so they've progressed on that, so we owe them for some of the work that they've performed out there. That's basically what that number is.
I'll make motion to approve pay request number 9.
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, Jessica,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Mark,
Yep.
Arden.
Yep.
Public Works, Craig, is there anything you wanna touch on that's
I
not
just-
in your report?
Just a couple quick things, as far as the snow and that stuff, as bad as it's getting, we've been working on intersections, trying to get those cleaned up and get all the hazardous areas taken care of. We're gonna lose some streets, I mean, as far as depth wise or width on them, because we're not gonna plow driveways in as bad as we could. So we're gonna lose probably, this next week, we'll probably lose another foot maybe on the streets, just because we're gonna pull in just a little bit and not feeling as bad as we, like I said, we could end up doing it, but, Mother Nature is not too far away,
Yeah.
so we're not gonna haul anymore when we really have to. Like I said, we'll just get the intersections and everything, so we keep it as safe as we can out there as far as that goes, so. The only other thing too is Turtle Creek, we did get the information all sent over to June Hansen with, National Geographical name change, whatever it is. And, now it's in their court, so, whatever it's called. So now it's in their court, we just gotta wait for them to get back to us
It's
on that.
officially called
It's not
Turtle Creek,
called
Turtle
National
Creek.
Geographical? That's not what it's
That's
called?
not the technical term.
Name, to change Turtle Creek,
Okay.
it's in the DOT's lap right now, so, on that, but. That's all.
What's a creek with no name, that's seriously, that's
Unnamed
very.
Several
Unnamed tributary. There's a lot of them like that.
Several unnamed tributaries.
Is that all you got, Craig?
Yep.
Actually, I do have a question. Do you lay gravel at all on the streets?
It's salt sand is what it is, yeah.
Okay.
What's that? Yeah, yeah.
Like on most of the residential streets?
A lot of times it'll just be the intersections, instead of doing the center of the roads and that stuff. Salt's expensive and it's also hard on vehicles and roads. But like this last time, we did go hit every street with it, just try to get it busted up a little bit, so. But always, yeah, we do put it down. We don't get as aggressive, like you'll see DOT or Sioux Falls, where they throw the liquid chemical with it too. And if you notice, Sioux Falls streets are making about 5 years and they are about junk.
Mhm.
So,
Do you, so like for bus stop areas, do you think you could maybe just coat them a little bit heavier?
if I knew where all the bus stop areas were, we certainly could put it covered a little better. I can check the
Yeah.
school, find out where the
I
areas
didn't know
are.
if that
I don't
was
even know
an
where
option.
where the bus stops even are, so.
Yeah,
But yeah, we can, if we've got areas that are a safety issue, now we'll definitely have it, put it on for, so.
Is that for kids falling, Jessica, or for
Oh yeah,
cars?
Oliver's he's had like 2 bloody lips this year.
Yeah, from falling.
His head is so big, it just like falls forward, like that's the first thing. Anyway, it's really slick on the roads, when they're getting into the bus.
You can convince them our helmet's a stocking cap, maybe.
I just like brace yourself, but, or we could lace them.
All right, we need to award a slurry seal bid.
And just to touch up on this here, the numbers came in pretty close. The reason why it's quite a bit more than what we had at budget time is, instead of going with regular paint, I wanted to go with epoxy, and that jumped it up about $8,000 just by itself. Epoxy paint's gonna last a lot longer, it's gonna be there probably 2 or 3 years instead of,
Is it gonna cover in one coat?
yep, epoxy's a lot better paint, and that's why I switched to epoxy, and that was after that deal on Second Street there, so. So that was about $8,000 by itself right there.
All right,
And there will be fees yet on top of this for Stockwell's, probably another $2,000 to $3,000 probably on that.
I'll make a motion that we approve the slurry seal bid for Intermountain Slurry Seal for $62,359.50.
Second.
any more discussion?
Yeah, what's the engineer?
He's just tough, we put the plans together.
I haven't put together the maps and that's because I don't have any way of doing the mapping like they do for to send into Sioux Falls.
And then we put the contracts together too, that'll
Yeah.
go out to the contractor and collect them, so.
That's, they don't, I keep mine as much as I can, but Sioux Falls wants
Sorry
to
for
have.
my ignorance, I'd think, hey, we want Main Street done, the slurry guys would go
Yeah,
right down Main
and-
Street and do it, but.
And that would be the way it is, but Sioux Falls really wants to have an engineer contract drawn up for every town for their, whoever gets the bid, so.
Now I know. I'm in.
We've went without them before, but Sioux Falls kinda wants to have, they've actually, at the beginning, the first meeting they have is,
To make them pay for it.
they're taking a portion of it.
All right, we got a motion and a second, any more discussion? Call the vote, Mark,
Yeah.
Arden,
Yep.
Travis,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Scott,
Yep.
and I'm a yes. Finance officer report, Karen, anything you wanna touch on that's not in your report?
No, sir.
Anybody have any questions for Karen? All right, moving on, city administrator report, Teresa, is there anything you wanna touch on that is not in your report?
Well, this is in my report, but I just wanna make sure everybody's read it, and I did touch base with Roger Haugo, about doing 9th Street. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no, and that he says he's for progress and knows that'll be an improvement to his land. So I did ask him if he could have, an answer to me before our next meeting, because we'd like to put it on to this contract if we decide to move forward. So he's gonna think about it, and I'll make contact with them before the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have an answer.
2 to 1 odds you don't have it.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Does anybody have any questions for Teresa?
Did he just expand on that 7 acres at all? Does he have an idea, give you a hint on what he's thinking?
That corner property?
Yes.
He has talked to me a little bit about, he has thought about doing either something commercial in there or possibly, some multifamily. Yeah. Whether he does it or if he sells it to somebody else to do it,
Sure.
I don't know, but.
Well, at least that's more than he
But,
was.
but when we were talking to him with Vandemark, he did wanna get it paid, so it would, up the worth of that.
Right.
All right.
So,
Okay.
he does understand that.
Teresa's looking for approval to attend the 2019 South Dakota City Management Association Spring Training Conference.
So moved.
Anybody have any questions about that?
Snow might be gone by then.
Hopefully.
Karen and Teresa will be, Karen and Ron will be around.
Yep.
All right. Travis,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Mark,
Yep.
Bird,
Yep.
Jessica,
Yes.
and I am a yes.
Is there any boards, like Craig's on every board there is for South Dakota street management. You've never been on a board before,
She
have
did
you?
There is a
You
board.
should be, yes.
I do a better job of avoiding them.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Sit way in the back and keep your hand down.
Oh, no.
No.
Fair enough.
Don't make eye
Moving right
Don't
along,
make eye contact, yeah.
Wow.
I just had a joke in
moving right along. Consent agenda, is Jeremy looking for a motion, or is he looking for, I don't know what he's looking for, is he looking for a consensus?
I think so, sometimes, I think you just wanna make sure we have discussion about it and get the feel of the council, and do you guys wanna move to a consent agenda or not?
Well, that's why I think I'd like to see a motion on it, because,
It would be nice, yeah.
so,
I'll make a motion to begin using a consent agenda for city council meetings.
Second.
is there any discussion?
I think we just have you run through this.
Well,
We don't need a consent agenda,
Oddly-
Jeremy's gone.
oddly enough, if this passes, there's something that needs to be addressed at a later date, because I certainly don't wanna talk about it tonight, but what needs to be addressed at a later date is the mechanism in order to take stuff off the consent agenda, whether that's gonna take anybody saying they wanna take it off, whether that takes a motion and a second to take it off. Those details have to be worked out, and we're not gonna work those out tonight. That is if this passes. My second point of contention with this is I think it was brought up in order to speed meetings along. And honestly, the stuff that's put on the consent agenda is typically not the stuff that drags the meeting out. So, my fear is that we're gonna have a consent agenda, and it's all gonna be for naught, because the meetings are gonna run late anyway. That's just my opinion.
We could always go back, right? We could always, I mean, if we adopted it, we could always just say, hey, this isn't working, and just go back to where we're at right now.
Yeah, no motion change. I did put,
And- no, go
Just for
ahead.
point of clarification on that, the way I read this is, if a council person or staff requests it removed and placed on the regular agenda, it shall be.
yeah, so the information I put in here, I called Harrisburg, they use a consent agenda, and said, well, how do you do it? And so the question was, well, how do you remove items from the consent agenda and move them to the regular? And basically, they said they have the mayor take the agenda and say, okay, here's the consent agenda. Item number 1 is approve the minutes. Item number 2 is second read, and reads them all, then ask if anybody would like to remove, whether it be the council or a staff member for a reason, or even the audience. If somebody voices they want it removed, now that doesn't necessarily move it, they still need a motion from the council and a second to actually remove it and then put on to the regular agenda. But anybody can ask for it to be removed, but it'll take a council motion to change the agenda. Just like approval of the agenda takes a council motion.
So in that scenario, if it takes a motion and a second to remove it, who gets to load it? Whose idea is it to load it?
To come up with the
Yep.
consent, so I asked that too, and I said, who does your consent agenda? Cause it's like me too, is it my opinion? And basically that's kind of what it come down to. They says, well, our city administrator,
Sets it.
sets what's on there, and if, like I said, if one of the council or the mayor doesn't approve of it, they voice it at the meeting and make a motion to,
See, and I'm
Change
just
it.
jaded enough to think that's a bad idea. Even with
I'm putting it all
even
in
with
the-
you three, I think that's a bad idea,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, so I mean, but she did say, I talked to Mary, you know, that's the way they run it as far as, I mean, that's who does their agendas, but
Yeah.
do you want somebody else to do your agenda, or, you know?
Okay, does anybody
Yeah,
else
so-
have any more questions about the consent agenda?
So if we're going through our packet on Monday and we see something we wanna move, can we move it at that time, or we gotta bring it to the meeting and move it?
I think by that time you gotta bring it to the meeting, cause the agenda's already been posted,
Okay,
whatnot.
oh,
But if you see something like consent agenda and you have questions about it, you know, a lot of times the bills will be under here, you know, instead of asking those questions at the meeting, call Karen then and say, what's this bill about? And most time it can be answered. Now, if it's something that you think, well, I don't agree with paying that, we should discuss it,
Right.
then that's when you come to the meeting and says, I wanna move the bills off the consent agenda to the regular agenda for discussion, so.
I think I agree with Mark that it's not the stuff that's gonna be on the consent agenda that usually hangs us up. I agree with that.
So
I
can
mean,
we,
it's-
so
yeah.
can we, as a council, say that, I mean, if we set our own rules with the consent, there's nothing in state law.
Nope, that's just,
So,
there's nothing in state law.
I can amend my motion to say that if anybody in attendance at the meeting wants an item removed, then it's removed, that we don't need a vote.
Yeah, you can do it that way, because that's the way Harrisburg does it, but there's nothing in state law that says you have to.
Well, since we did a motion and a second, wouldn't it have to go through a second, like at the next meeting? Another, like an
No.
approval, or no?
No, it's not a.
No, this isn't an ordinance, there's no two readings, it's just a motion, which is basically just a resolution, so it's just this one time. But, I mean, if you guys are still unsure of it and want more discussion, I mean, vote it down and you can talk about it.
Well,
at the next
honestly,
meeting.
if the goal is to get through the meeting, I mean, there's a way to get through the meeting. And that's, everybody be up to speed on everything that's in the packet. You can look at it Friday night, you got all day Saturday, all day Sunday, you can call anybody at City Hall Monday and all day Tuesday. And you can plow through it.
I move a call vote.
All right. We got a motion and a second. Travis called the vote. The motion was to approve the consent agenda, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Jessica?
So this is me saying let's not.
Let's do the
Let's
consent.
do
We
the
switch,
consent.
we would switch. It'd be different.
The agenda format would change.
Right. No.
Okay, Scott?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah.
Artie?
No,
And I'm a no. So that is a tie. So it dies.
So died, because we don't have four to pass it, so.
Back in the good old days.
Back in the good old days, we would've got-
You had two votes, brother.
Don't have them now.
Not everybody understands that joke. Back in the bad old days. All right.
Funny.
So that dies, new business. Review Toshiba copier. I actually got up to speed a little bit on this today. I will let Teresa touch on it, but it is my opinion that somebody makes a motion to have the city administrator dispose of that thing any way she feels necessary. So Teresa, take it away.
So, to dispose of item surplus, you can, if you believe their worth is over $500, you gotta do it by a sealed bid. And if it's under $500, you can just take offers and sell it to whoever you wish to. Well, I believe the item to be over $500, so I took sealed bids on just the copier alone. And we advertised it, had a bid opening, and we got one bid for $50.
Right.
So basically, it's a bid, and the council's gotta either approve it, or you can either accept the bid or deny the bid.
But it does work, right?
It works, yes, it works, and so, it's kind of a tough call, so we deny the bid, we can re-advertise it again, but if you have nobody interested in it and you don't get it sold, then eventually it's gonna stop working, and then you've gotta dispose of it, which would be at a cost
Yeah.
to get rid of, or you either just take it and get rid of it.
Just, can you think of any nonprofits out there that would utilize something like this?
And Hartford has been the office here,
Yeah.
and, probably 10 years, the Development Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce will probably need the road copier, but that's in the future.
Yeah, it's irrelevant, I guess.
What's that woman's shelter that, for women and kids that you can give phones to? What's the name of it?
Children's Inn.
Children's Inn, yep, and we always donate our phones to.
I'd rather donate it,
That's
all.
what I'm going at.
And we can at this point, because if we refuse the bid, once again, then we've already gone through the bid process once, then you can just sell it or do anything you want with it. You don't have to do this formal process.
That's why I'd like to see a motion made to have the city administrator dispose of it at her leisure.
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion?
You got your word. And I agree with you.
Is the bid,
I think we need a motion to deny the bid and dispose of it at the city administrator's discretion. Can we revise
So
it?
moved.
Okay, so okay.
Nelson, you still second?
Sure.
Any discussion?
Is it an individual or a business? The bid.
It's an individual.
Any more discussion? Call the vote, Arden,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Jessica, Travis,
Yes.
Mark,
Yeah.
and I'm a yes.
Just tell the selling individual we want to donate it, be good people.
All right, moving right along,
Okay.
is there any correspondence? Correspondence? We don't have any new business. All right, we do have an executive session for personnel. Someone would like to
I'd like to have legal
the legal and personnel.
Move we adjourn to executive session.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Been fun.
Going to kiss tomorrow night?
No.